Hi guys, welcome back to the Chronic Chronicles, the podcast where we get real about life with chronic illness and everything that comes with it. Today I'm joined by Alexandra, the host of Calling in Sick. Alexandra creates space for raw, honest conversations about health, work, and the messy, beautiful in between. In this episode, we're talking about her chronic illness journey, why she started her podcast, and how she's navigating work, rest, and advocacy in a world that's not built with sick people in mind. Whether you're here for relatable stories, maybe a few laughs, or just to feel a little bit less alone, this conversation is definitely for you. Let's dive in. To get us started, can you give us a little intro on who you are and just a little bit of background?
Yes, so I'm Alex Wildeson. I am autoimmune and chronically ill. I have a podcast called Calling in Sick, also a content creator. I dove into that space about a year ago after going on medical leave for a botched spinal surgery, and it's kind of transformed my whole life for
Yeah.
better or for worse. But prior to that, I grew up autoimmune. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Indiana. I had arthritic pain, like I always called them crunchy joints. And so handful
Hmm.
of times a year, I'd get really swollen, did not feel well, and would miss school. And
Yeah.
it was originally diagnosed as juvenile arthritis, but as I got older and went through puberty, the pain and how the disease started presenting itself transformed. So now today, my doctors kind of bucket it under mixed connective tissue disease or lupus. My markers
Hmm.
go on and off. So I would say like 50% of my doctors agree with that. And then the other half are like, I don't know what this is, and I don't think it's that. So definitely live in the gray on that one.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I do have like some concrete diagnoses, which has been helpful for my mental health. Um, and that whole chain started in, gosh, when was that? 2018, 2019? Yeah, February 2019. I was super, super sick, sleeping 14, 16 hours a day. I ended up having to quit my investment banking job,
Oh my gosh.
had awful body pain, awful, awful brain fog, super intense fatigue, like could not get out of my bed to even walk my dog. So I hired a dog walker 3 times a day to walk her for me because I could not
Oh my gosh.
have the energy to go and move. Ended up getting diagnosed with something called polyarteritis nodosa, which is a degenerative form of vasculitis. Impacts your small and medium-sized blood vessels, slowly kind of steals or stops delivering oxygen and nutrients to your organs. And back in the day, that definitely was a death sentence. And so when I
Wow.
got diagnosed with it, I had a rheumatologist who definitely was not up to speed, I would say, on vasculitis and told
Oh,
me
so like scared the shit out of you.
the shit out of me. He told me I had 4 months to live. My husband, my now husband, and I were like, all right, well, shit, I guess we should just get married and enjoy the last 4 months.
Oh my God.
Terrifying. But thankfully, I live in a medical family, and so got second, third, fourth opinions, and found out that that was definitely not the case. I'm sure it is going to be the thing that rings my bell eventually, but by no means do I have only 4 years to live, so or 4 months to live. That disease has been really tough, though. It has
Yeah.
affected my nerves and my skin, so I deal with like a lot of pain. I'd say
Hmm.
that's like the number one symptom that I deal with, but also have like gastric issues and brain fog and headaches and
Hmm.
migraines and all that fun stuff. And that really was like the diagnosis that changed everything for me in my life. Medications got pretty intense. Quality of life definitely changed and went through the ringer. I'm now 6 years into it though, and I feel like I have hope that life is going to continue being beautiful and full, even though there's some days that are like really fucking hard.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. I mean, I knew you had a lot going on. That's a lot. I feel for you. I want to start with your botched spinal surgery because personally, I've had a lot of questions on that. I'm like, what happened? Why were you even getting spine surgery? Like what's the deal?
Yeah. I'll talk like pretty high level about it, but
Hmm.
basically what happened is I had a DRG implant back in 2020, and that's a DRG is a neurostimulator, and it's used to help with pain management. So since vasculitis had impacted my nerves, I was having excruciating pain in my legs, ended up developing something called complex regional pain syndrome. If you've seen that Netflix documentary, Taking Care of Maya, it's that disease. It is horrifying, and anytime it flares, I'm in the hospital.
Oh my God.
It's not a great one. But thankfully, I had an amazing pain management doctor. His daughter also was autoimmune, so he kind of like spoke the same language as me.
Yeah.
And we decided after doing a couple different nerve medications and narcotics and like throwing the dart at anything and everything to see what would work. Ended up deciding to trial a neurostimulator. So got that implanted and it worked like gangbusters. It was amazing. How that's placed is done by pain management. So they like dig a pocket basically in your upper butt, and then they
Oh,
leads into the like roots of your nerves. So I had it in three different nerve roots. Had that on for 3 years. Yeah, I had it in my body and on for 3 years. And
wow.
then I guess I should rewind. When I got it placed, I was on a shit ton of prednisone and I was about 70 pounds heavier than I am right now. And so over
Oh
the
my
last
gosh.
couple of years, I had lost weight as I went off prednisone. And in August of 2023, I was like, you know what? I don't know if I need this anymore. I think I'm in a really good place. I was in remission from vasculitis for the first time, or what we
Hmm.
call remission, which is low symptoms, basically, disease not.
Yeah.
And I turned the device off under the guidance of my doctor. My
Yeah.
husband and I wanted to start family planning at the end of the year, and so we thought that could be great to even get the device out potentially. You're allowed to keep them in if you're pregnant, but
Hmm.
if I got it my way, I definitely wanted it out of my body.
Yeah. Do those stay like long term? Like, can they just stay in forever?
Pacemaker. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
It's like a pacemaker or a port. Like you can
Mhm.
have it in for as long as you need it. Most people leave it in, I'm pretty sure, for life, but
Yeah.
I was
Interesting.
excited and wanted to get it taken out maybe
Yeah.
overzealously. But that fall I continued to lose weight. And even though we were going to get it removed like early 2024, the device started poking out of my skin. And it was
Mm.
so painful and very, very dangerous because it's direct lines to your spinal column.
Yeah.
Went in to go get it taken out, and there were just a ton of complications. Woke up paralyzed from the waist down, movement sensation gone. Spent about 2 weeks in the hospital in ICU. Ended up having a second spinal surgery. Thankfully, was able to regain mobility, but I had to
Yeah.
learn how to walk, relearn how to use the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
probably one of the most traumatic things I think that's happened in my life.
Yeah, that sounds so scary. I'm so
Mhm.
sorry you had to go through that. That sounds terrifying. I know a lot of people in the chronic illness community, like me included, have like quite a bit of like hesitance,
Mhm.
whatever
Cousins?
yeah, whatever that word is, brain fog for the medical community and just like doctors in general. I've been misdiagnosed with so many things and then come
Totally.
back and been like, okay, so do I have that thing that you diagnosed me with 4 years ago, or do I have this thing now, or do I have both? Like, and not getting like clear-cut answers on things. But no, I feel like yours is like to a different level. Like that is traumatic. Just yeah, very
It
traumatic.
it happens though, and I think
Hmm.
like you're saying, we go through these eras of having misdiagnosis or being misled to believe like you're gonna die in 4 months or something like that. And we are
Hmm.
so at the mercy and like in the hands of these individuals, and finding somebody that you can trust becomes that much more important because
Hmm.
it is your life on the line. When it like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how severe your disease is, anything that we do has long-term
Yeah,
effects. So finding somebody that you trust and feel
it's so
comfortable is
important.
important.
So important. And so my main chronic illness is endometriosis, like that. You have endo, right?
Yeah, I've had it since I was like 13, but didn't get formally diagnosed with it until I had appendicitis in March of 2020. Woke up from surgery and the surgeons were like, FYI, you have endometriosis like everywhere in your abdomen.
You're like, great, add it to the list.
I'll deal with that in a couple of years, I guess.
Yeah. Endo is like my main one, I guess, is what I say to people. And that's the one that I like that started my whole chronic illness journey and getting diagnosed with other things and stuff. And but yeah, definitely struggled with that from early teenage years, like through on. The biggest thing that I've learned in the last like 10 years of being chronically ill is you're allowed to ask for a different doctor. You don't have to stick with someone.
Such a good point.
You can move on and you should like you shouldn't just stay with somebody because you're like, oh, they're a doctor. I don't know, the way in my brain I always viewed doctors as like the smartest people. I'm like, well, they
Same.
are like I should listen to them on everything that they say. Like they went to all this school, they're taking care of my body, like whatever. And that is true, but in reality, there's good and bad doctors, and like you should find somebody that you connect with. And I treat it like a relationship. I'm like, if we're on
Yes.
the same page, I'm gonna go find a different one. Like, we're good.
100%. Like you have to date your doctors. That happens for physical and mental health across
Yeah.
the board. And it's a hard lesson to learn. I grew up, my dad's a surgeon. And so I grew up with like that concept of doctors being godly, like
Yeah.
very much on a pedestal. And so I still remember like the first bad doctor experience I had. I was so devastated because I thought every doctor was like my dad and was like amazing and loved their patients and went the extra mile. And it was shocking to find out that that's not the case with everybody. And it really is important then to find doctors that not aren't just
Yeah.
like good at what their specialty is, but are a good click with you and like
Hmm.
what you need from a doctor beyond just physical support. Like I know that if I'm in a flare up and having anxiety, I need my doctors to be responsive and they
Yeah.
know I'm going to be anxious as fuck. And they'll respond to me, but they know that that side of me comes out when I'm in a flare up.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I've also found that like sometimes getting second opinions also is a huge thing, like what you said, like with your
Yeah.
four, like a doctor telling you you only have 4 months. Like, don't just take the first thing that somebody tells you. Like, go find other opinions and see, are there other things that I can do? I remember the biggest thing that a doctor ever told me was when I got diagnosed with endo, she was like, you should get a hysterectomy when I was like 19. And I'm like, whoa, what's happening right now? She was like, well, okay, get a hysterectomy or get pregnant right now because like those are your options. And granted, I'm 27, so like that was like 8 years ago, but like still,
That's so stressful, Lexi.
yeah, I'm like, I don't think I'm in college. I don't know if that's really the right choice. And if I hadn't, I mean, not to say I don't think I would have done that anyways, just
Mhm.
because I was so like, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
getting like different opinions and then also like just waiting. Now we have so much more research now that says that like that is not going to help us like at all, actually, with endo. So
100%. A
yeah.
100%. We are really like at, I think, a cusp of research that's going on with endo and
Hmm.
however awful it is to hear just give something time. I really think like right now, if you're ever going to give something time and see what's coming down the pipeline, it's
Yeah.
right now because I do think there's going to be monumental changes on how endometriosis is not just viewed but treated.
Hmm.
And there's cool stuff coming out that are less invasive and more like root cause focused. So
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting time in the endo world.
I'm excited to see what's happening with all of that. But even like thinking about it, even 5 years ago, that like providers really did think that pregnancy was like a treatment option for endometriosis.
Yeah.
And that's just so, and hysterectomy. And I'm just like, and it's so funny. I had an endometriosis excision surgeon on the podcast, like, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I asked him about that. I was like, what do you think about people using hysterectomy as like a treatment or a cure? And he was like, well, I think common sense wise, that doesn't make sense because let's just break it down. Endometriosis is tissue outside of your uterus. So why are we taking out your uterus? And I'm like,
Thank, thank you.
yeah. I'm like, what? When you break it down like that, yeah, it just doesn't really make. And he was like, now if you have adenomyosis, makes a little bit more sense because it's in your actual uterus tissue. But I was
100%.
like, it's a really good point. Really good point when you break it down like that. But
Something to think about. It does seem like common sense when you lay it out like that.
yeah, and I'm like, well, now I feel kind of stupid. He was like, well, the intention is not to make you feel stupid, but just like literally think, like, we need to actually think about things. Like, let's slow down. And I'm
Well, there's
like,
so much
yeah.
like emotion tied into all of it. So slowing down
Mhm.
and thinking about the logic behind anything is actually, like, I think, really hard to do in any kind of medical scenario because
Yeah.
it's so intense. And when you get to endometriosis and talking about hysterectomies, like there's even more layers of emotion tied into that. Like being young females that might want to have children or a family one day, and
Yeah.
the decisions you're making will inevitably impact that down the road.
Going kind of back to like your childhood and like your journey with all of this, we have very different experiences in this because
I mean, I had like chronic pain starting at like 13 or whatever, but I didn't find out that anything was wrong until I was like 19. But you've known that you've had issues pretty much your whole childhood.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with all of that, like growing up?
It's a great question. I think when I was younger, like let's say 6 through 18,
Mm-hmm.
I pretended like it wasn't happening, slash that it was normal. So my brother was also sick growing up, and he is a year and a half younger than me. And so the two of us were always at the doctor's or getting blood draws or taking our medications or whatever. So in our household, it felt normal to be
Yeah.
sick and not be healthy, I guess.
Yeah.
On top of that, I grew up in a family that was medical. So they always had us, making sure we were eating right, taking our medications, doing all the things possible to support feeling as good as possible.
Yeah.
And another layer on top of that is I'm super fucking type A and like a absolute nerd and dork and love school. So I went full tilt and just like dove into my
Mm-hmm.
classes and playing sports, and that was all really good distraction. And I think playing sports actually maybe like masked the pain a little bit for me because I could blame
Mm-hmm. Like
well
being
on,
sore.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But when I got to college, I think that was the first time it's like, oh, I'm in my dorm room and no one else is giving themselves Enbrel injections right now. Like
Yeah.
this might not actually be normal. And that just, I think, continued then for the rest of the journey. But growing up, I definitely just ignored it and I think leaned into other things to blame pain on.
Yeah. So do you feel like you were able to have like somewhat of a normal childhood? Like you still felt like you could do childhood things.
Absolutely. It was just
Yeah.
very episodic. So if I had a flare up, my flare-ups back then also like looked very different. So it
Yeah.
was maybe 3, 4, 5 times a year, and they would be really bad. I'd be like potentially in a wheelchair or in a splint or whatever.
Hmm.
Only last 2 or 3 weeks. And then I'd be right back up, back to school, back to sports, whatever.
Yeah.
My flare-ups now seem to just like bleed into each other and not really ever totally end. So it's shifted on how I handle flare-ups because they're not these time-bound episodes anymore. So I think
Yeah.
because they're time-bound, I was able to like live a pretty normal childhood.
That makes a lot of sense. I still haven't figured out like what this is. Like now my primary care doctor is a naturopath, which I feel like honestly helps a lot. Like she is the first provider I've ever had like take an hour-long appointment and just like look through mine. She's like, "Okay, tell me about all the weird things that have happened." And I'm like, "How much time do we have, girlfriend?" But I had this like in I think like sixth, seventh grade, eighth grade, my knees would like swell up and I'd have to get them drained
Yeah.
like crutches and like literally crawling in pain. And they thought they tested me for juvenile arthritis because rheumatoid arthritis like runs in my family.
Uh-huh.
Didn't have it, and they just never figured out. Like I would just go on with life, and I'm like, okay,
Okay,
well that was weird.
same. Rheumatology was not well funded, especially in the pediatrics world in the 90s.
Yeah. I don't know. Like we still don't really know what that is.
Do you still get episodes like that now?
Not nearly as bad. Like I do get it's specifically my left knee like still swells up every once in a while, but I've never I think the last time I got it drained, I was in like ninth grade. I haven't had to
It's like puberty-ish shifted, maybe.
yeah, weird.
Yeah.
But now I have between my L4 and L5 lumbar and my back, my disc is degrading. And I've had like a lot of back pain, like a lot of back pain. So also why I asked you about like what I'm like, what kind of spinal surgery did you get? Because now they're suggesting like spinal surgery to fix that situation. But anyways,
Yeah.
so my doctor was I like came in and I'm like, hey, my back is hurting really bad, got MRIs, like looked at all of that stuff. And then she just like happened to, she was like, I wonder if this has anything to do with like
Okay.
your joints swelling up when you were a kid and like I have like weird like my wrists like pop and everything is cracky. She's like, I don't know. So we're still deep diving into that, figuring out
Yeah.
maybe that is like an autoimmune thing or what, but just really weird stuff.
Do you get like your SED rate or CRP markers go up when you're having these episodes happen?
I don't know. We're doing what is it? Like every 3 months I'm doing blood work now. So, but we're going on like 2 sets of blood work at this point. So it's probably going to take a while to figure out.
It's such a marathon, which is the weirdest thing out of all of it. And I'm sure you relate to this too, having symptoms from
Yeah.
being a kid. When I meet people that get diagnosed with autoimmune or chronic illness diseases in their adulthood, the sense of urgency for getting a diagnosis and getting on treatment is so high. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because I lived in this gray and was misdiagnosed for like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
I don't feel that urgency so much anymore. Like I'll have hands down months where I'm like, wow, the symptom's really bad and I need to know what's going on. Like
Mm-hmm.
for COVID, I had some crazy like heart stuff going on. Extreme tachycardia, extreme bradycardia. Like my resting heart rate was in the 30s. And I'm an athlete. Like I do not work out, so that's shocking. I'd be laying in bed and go up to 200. And that scared the shit out of me and was like, urgent, urgent. I need to get this addressed right now. Pacemaker, do I have POTS? What's going on? But other than that, I think being sick as a little kid and not having this diagnosis has given me like the sense of calmness or peace about knowing it's a marathon and that sometimes it does just take time for the puzzle to like actually make sense.
No, I actually feel very, very similar to that. Like I was with family this past weekend and I've it's so funny because I've started in the past year like posting so much about like my daily life and like how I'm feeling and I post on my stories like almost every day like I'm feeling this way, this is whatever. And I have family that follow that account and they'll call me and they'll be like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm actually feeling like better than what I felt like 5 years ago." And they're like so concerned. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that is just so interesting. That's like how much I mask it in my everyday life and how much people just don't know like what's going on because this is just life. And yeah. And I was telling my family about I was like kind of limping a little bit. Like I don't even like realize that I do these things anymore. But I was around family and they're like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like my back pain goes into my left leg and will like make my left leg numb." And so obviously I'm limping a little bit and they're like, "You really need to figure out what's going on with that." And I'm like, It'll come eventually. I'll figure it out." They're like, "You're
I'm
not
like laughing,
concerned?"
but just relate so hard.
I know. They're like, "You're not concerned about this?" And I'm like, I mean, I am, but like eh,
But there's nothing I can
yeah.
do about it right now.
Yeah, I'm like, other than like this, my spinal surgeon was like, "Yeah, let's do surgery." And I'm like, "Well, you're a surgeon." I'm like, I know you want to do surgery, but at the same time, he he looks at me and he goes, but just so you know, the chances that this like takes your pain away is 40%." And
Yeah, it's not great.
I'm like, "Sir, do you want me to do a surgery that's gonna make it like so I can't walk for a while for a 40% chance that my pain goes away?"
Great.
Probably not.
Have you looked at, not to be the person that throws things, looked at PRP injections?
Um, I don't know. I don't really know what though. So he offered an epidural shot. Like,
Okay, so there's those, which are awesome. I get
mhm,
those for vasculitis pain in my right leg. But there's something called platelet-rich plasma injections, and they take some of your blood and then pull out the plasma, the plate, I don't know what they pull out. They pull out something, and then they inject that into that area. After my second spinal surgery, I had that done because I was having such bad back pain. I had a disc that was degrading, like a little bit of a bulging disc.
mhm.
I am not kidding. Back pain resolved. It was amazing. Now, it's
Okay.
not permanent, but it lasted a pretty long time and it definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's like, that sounds familiar. Is that like the vampire facials that they do?
Yes. Yeah, it's like very big in the cosmetic world. Like people
Yeah.
do it for, like regrowing hair or
Mhm. Yeah,
fresh
'cause it's your
face.
own platelets. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
it really, really does help. And using it for management's huge.
Okay. I'll look into that because honestly, the back situation. So this all started it's been like 6 months. So I mean, it didn't start in December, but that's when I was like, okay, I'm
Okay.
getting like a lot of days where like I can't walk. Like I should probably figure this out.
Yeah.
But in reality, I've had back pain for like 10 years. So I guess that's kind of, well, I'm gonna say that's kind of my fault. But in reality, that's not true. I've been telling my doctors that I've had back pain for like 10 years, but they're like, "You have a lot of nerves down there and it's probably endometriosis pain and da, da, da." And I'm like, "Okay, That's also another thing that like when you have chronic illness, my
Yeah.
experience is they put everything in the endo bucket. They're like, "Oh, you have endometriosis. It's endometriosis." And I'm like,
Yep.
pretty sure my heart rate getting to like 195 is not endometriosis, but like sounds good. And they're like, "Well,
100%.
it's anxiety from endometriosis." And I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Like, why is that happening when I'm meditating then?
Yeah, I'm like falling asleep but whatever.
Mhm. It's such a good point though. Like when you do have a diagnosis, this is like I did a post that I think this week on socials where I was like, getting a diagnosis is great, but like it's not the thing that should be the North Star. And like kind of controversial for sure, because if you're searching for a diagnosis and you hear someone saying that has some diagnoses, but not
Yeah.
all, it sounds very condescending. It's
Yeah.
not the intent. My point was a diagnosis can help, but so
Hmm.
many of the medications that we use in the autoimmune space are the same across so many different diseases. So as long as you find a provider who's willing to help treat your symptoms, like you are more likely to find relief than trying to just speed date a bunch of doctors that aren't giving you a diagnosis. But the double-edged sword of that is once you do get a diagnosis, then all of your symptoms are now that diagnosis when there could be secondary, tertiary diseases going
Hmm.
on, which is super common.
Yeah, and there most likely are. Like comorbidities are huge. They're all over the place. So, yeah, it's being
Good
sick
and
is
bad.
just hard.
Chronic illness is so hard, and like there is not a right or a wrong way to do it at all. And I think, what it boils down to is as long as we are doing the things that we know are making us feel a little bit better,
Hmm.
that's all we can ask for and all we can do.
Yeah, 100%. So, how has your approach to managing flare-ups evolved over time?
I feel like I have a toolkit now. I feel like in the past it was like, oh God, like a breakup with a toxic boyfriend where it would just flare and be this devastating, horrible thing in my life and take
Hmm.
everything down. And now it's okay, I'm not feeling great this morning. Let's start doing the things that I know helps. Like, let's maybe do the AIP diet. Let's do the infrared
Hmm.
sauna bag every night again. Let's do whatever else is in that toolbox for whatever symptoms are percolating. And so I feel like I jump on it earlier. So maybe like detecting symptoms a little bit earlier and knowing my body a bit better. And then the second side of that is also like the mental game of it. I know that flare-ups suck. I also know they end. And they can last a really long time. I've been in a flare-up once for a year and a half, and like that was brutal city, but it ended eventually. And so as long as you know that like there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm.
It's really hard to hold that hope sometimes, but as long as you can keep it some semblance of a reminder of that, I think it's easier to get through.
I love that so much. I I I think that it's something that comes with this sounds so old of me to say.
I'll make all the goals in the chronic illness space also.
I know. I'm like, I hated when people would say this to me when I was younger, but like, I think it really does just like come with time of like the more time you have like learning your body and learning like what your flares look like and also like just understanding that yeah, like this too shall pass and like it again, like I've had endo flares that have lasted a month and I've been like, what the fuck? Like why do I wake up every morning and my bloating is not going away? Like
And you
I
feel like crap. It's
yeah.
hard to get through.
Yeah, it's super, super hard. But also, then you wake up one day and you're like, oh, wait, I feel a little bit better today. And
Yes.
yeah.
And it changes everything. It's like when you have a cold and the first day of cold relief, and you're like,
Hmm.
I'll never take breathing clearly for granted again.
Oh,
Like,
literally, that's me right now.
feeling. Yes, it's coming. Don't worry. That
I
boils over
know.
to help you.
That's me right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, once this ear finally pops, I'm gonna be like, thank the Lord. I can
Yes.
hear again. I think that that definitely comes with time and that time.
It's the hardest thing to hear in the moment and the
Hmm.
most obvious thing in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You know what? We need to start a little quote book for you. I love
Thank you. I spend a lot of time in my brain.
That's so cute. When I edit this episode, I'll pull out all the quotes that you said and make a post about it.
That'd be so cute. I love
Yeah.
it.
Getting through chronic illness.
One quote at a time.
I love it. So, what are like the biggest things in your toolkit? What are like okay, let's give your top three must-haves.
Okay, top three must-haves, like physical things.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, let's do physical things. I would say first and foremost, like infrared as a tool. And that can look like an infrared sauna blanket or an infrared sauna itself, an
Hmm.
infrared like PEMF mat, infrared face mask, whatever. Infrared has been life-changing for me in so many different ways. And I did
Okay.
not get into it until like January 2023, the year that I went into a remission-like state from vasculitis. It helps with detoxing, which if you're chronically ill, our bodies already struggle with that a ton. So like that helps naturally do that. If you do it at certain times of day, it helps lower or control your cortisol levels. So your mood can improve, your sleep can improve. If those things improve, I find pain usually improves a little bit. So infrared, I will scream it from the rooftops until I die. It is my favorite tool in the world.
Got it. Okay.
Always is warm, which is just like, I don't know,
That's
amazing. When
pleasant.
anything
Yeah.
hurts, just throw some heat on that thing. My second favorite tool is probably like a good duvet day, which isn't necessarily a tool, but just like maybe that one's a routine. I think like surrendering to a full day of rest where you don't let yourself think of, gosh, I need to be doing X, Y, and Z, but instead saying that all can wait. None of that has urgency. Today, if I give myself to this rest, I will feel better,
Yeah.
will help. So like duvet days are my bread and butter. I fucking love them. And now that I have like romanticized them, I look forward to them. So if I'm in a flare up, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh darn, I have to have a duvet day. Shoot. Like get to watch Bravo all day and do paint by numbers and snuggle with my dogs. That sounds
I love
awful.
that. How long did it take you? Okay, so from another, I'm also very type A, and it's still hard for me to like allow myself to have I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I can allow myself to like sleep in and stay in bed for longer in the morning, but then I'm like, okay, but I have to like get up eventually and like
Yes.
get on with my day. It's so hard for me to just like chill all day because I'm like my
Yeah.
brain is like there's so many things I need to be doing. This is going to push me back a day, yada yada yada. So from one type A girly to another, how did you get to the point where you can have like a full rest day?
I made it like a special thing to look forward to. So like I get out of bed, I shower, I put on clean pajamas, I like I make my bed, and then I do a little to-do list of like very, very low-hanging fruit that are easy to do, like schedule a doctor's appointment,
Hmm.
call CVS and see if my prescriptions are ready, respond to 3 emails, like very, very low things, and then close my
Yeah.
computer and say I'm done. And then I make an itinerary for the rest of the day, and they're all like wellness things. So like lay in the bed and watch 2 episodes of Real Housewives, and then I'm gonna go stretch or go on a walk. And then I'm going to do the infrared sauna bag and watch Jeremy Clarkson's Farm. And then I'm going to make a green juice. I don't know, like I make a schedule for that day. And if I have a schedule that I'm sticking to, that makes me feel productive, even if it's all wellness and health oriented. And then I'd also say, like, my husband is so helpful with like managing that little voice in my head of you're not being productive, like you're wasting the day, you're a burden.
Hmm.
He constantly reminds me that, and this was like honestly, this changed my entire perspective, was when he
Yeah.
said, I feel like I get to give you a gift when I get to take care of you.
Aw.
Would you say, I don't want that gift? You're making me feel like a burden if someone gave you a physical gift. And I was like, no, of course not. That'd be so rude. And he's like, so imagine how I feel when you're like, I feel like a burden that you're doing all these nice things for me. And instead just say thank you and like accept the
Oh,
gift. And I was like, oh,
okay.
that's a great point. Yes, I will accept this gift. And now I feel like I'm more open to being taken care of, I think,
Hmm.
is part of that
You
like
know what?
trust.
I think you just helped my relationship so much just in that little thing. Because my boyfriend, we've been together for almost 10 years, and
Um,
I
yeah.
know, so sweet. I got diagnosed with endo, like with him, and so over the last, it's very, very hard for me to like let people take care of me, because I'm like, I'm sick all the time. Like,
Yeah. Hard to let. people
But
in like see that
yeah.
depth, I think, because there's a lot
Yeah.
of pain and dark and heavy in there.
Yeah, it's super hard. Even like last night, like I'm like actually sick, like I have a cold,
Yes.
and I'm like laying in bed all day, and then he like gets I also work from home, so I don't know. He gets home and I'm like, "Okay, I'll get up and like make dinner." And he's like, What?" He's like, "That's crazy." He's like, "I'll make dinner." This like
Yes.
I was like, "No, like you've been at work all day and I've just been laying in bed all day. Like I'm fine. I can do it. I don't want to like, I want to make you dinner." And he's like, "Why?" And he pretty much said like a very similar thing to like what you just said, but he's a very logical person, so he said it less emotional and a little bit more logical, but no, like that was definitely the intent. So,
And sometimes you just
yeah.
have to hear the same thing a billion times, but one person says it differently, and then it clicks in your brain, and you're like, oh, yes, that makes sense finally. I mean,
Mhm.
Cooper and I have been together for 10 years, and he's been taking care of me for 10 years. And it took 10 years for me to finally say, this is a gift. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like that like reframe, like thinking of it as because yeah, of course. Like if he came home and like brought me soup and like whatever like he did yesterday, of course I'm not going to be like, "Why would you stop out of your way and do that for me?" Like that I don't want you
You
to
had work all day.
Yeah. Whereas him making dinner is like the exact same thing. But
I'm
uh
all about reframes. I think
yeah.
like the space, our space, especially like creating content in this space, gets really bogged down with like the idea of toxic positivity and like not crossing that line.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that. But I also think that like reframes aren't toxically positive. I think
Hmm.
reframes help you shift and live a fuller life
Yeah.
within your means.
Yeah. Agree. Very much agree.
What's your favorite chronic illness reframe that you found over your time?
Oh gosh. I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite because I just said that I don't take full rest days, but that that resting is okay
Yeah.
and that resting is still productive. I've reframed that in my brain because I used to not let myself rest at all. I would be like, "Oh, no, no, I'm just gonna push through." Like for a very long time, I would just tell myself that like
It
I
was normal.
this sounds so awful to say I've gotten through this with lots of therapy, but like my old Lexi, like 5 years ago, would be like, "You're being a victim in this, and like you need to just push through. Like everyone has struggles, everybody has things going on. Like you being sick is just part of your life. You need to just work harder." And I thought that I was just like not working hard enough. So I wouldn't let myself like take rest. But now, like 5 years later, I do. I'm like, okay, no, resting is productive, but I still won't let myself take full rest days. So like hopefully eventually we'll get there. But I do like some days
Totally.
I'm like, yeah, some days I'm like, okay, if I'm in bed until noon, obviously my body needed that. Like
Yes.
I'm gonna listen to what's going on. But
I'm
yeah,
proud of you.
thank you.
That's huge growth. And I am right
Mhm.
there with you. Like I preach rest, but I struggle with that too. And I think part of
Mhm.
that too is like when you grow up sick and you are exposed to really, really sick kids in the hospital, you
Yeah.
start thinking like, could be worse,
Mhm.
could be worse. And that is your mantra for a very long time. I still have that to this day where I'll be like in the hospital, in the ICU and be like, could be worse. And I'm paralyzed from the waist down. Like that's fucked up in my brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know where I was going with that one. But I think that like we all grow over time to realize that some of these things and lies that we tell ourselves are actually
Mhm.
not self-serving. At one point they were, and they helped protect us. And like we have to
Mhm.
be grateful for that, but they might not always be serving and help us.
Yeah. Life is growth for sure. You have to move forward. Like you gotta grow and understand your body a little bit better and understand that things are not linear. But yeah, I do words. There's half of me that is like, okay, that mindset on like you need to work harder and like get through things. I think it did help me get through college and like I was
Yes.
pre-med and like I did my master's and everything and like, oh my God, through my master's, literally somehow I put endometriosis on the back burner and I still had bad flares. But somehow it was a little bit calmer. And I think it's because I was so like, okay, this is 2 years, I need to get through this. And then it was crazy. Like right after I graduated, I moved to Seattle, started my job, and holy shit, did endo come back with a vengeance. I was like, wow, okay. Maybe it was still there. Like my mind was just on a different thing, but
We can like push our brains to be in survival mode, I think. When I was growing up, my dad had testicular cancer, and I remember that whole treatment cycle going, I cannot flare up, I cannot flare up. I have
yeah.
to be strong to take care of my dad physically. And the second that he was done with treatments, I had a horrifying like 5-day migraine that landed me in the ER. And it was because I
Yeah.
finally like felt safe to be sick again. And I think that
Yeah.
like that translates when you are in the working world and you have to push through and push through and push through. All of a sudden, the moment you have a break, I think it's like why a
Mhm.
lot of people flare up on vacations or on the weekends. It's because it's finally like a safe time to be sick.
Yeah.
And our minds are fucking powerful.
Yeah, they are. That there's definitely, I'm sure there's science somewhere about that. Like I think literally my body was in like fight mode for two
Yes.
years. And then when I moved out here, it started a normal, like obviously that was still stressful, but like far less stressful than like everything I had going on. Yeah, it was like the sickest I've ever been. And I'm like, holy shit, I haven't been flares every day. I have an IUD and I like don't get bleeding periods anymore, but I still have like really bad cramps. But I was like bleeding. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, where is this coming from?
Isn't
Like
that
crazy.
so crazy?
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Okay, we have time for a little bit more.
Okay.
I want to ask you a little bit about your podcast.
Yes, go
So,
for it.
what inspired you to start Calling in Sick?
So I've always wanted to create some kind of platform. I love talking to people about healing and wellness and chronic illness and like
Mhm.
this space and world that we get to live in. And I'm saying get to live in because I do think the people in the chronic illness space are some of the most interesting, dynamic, strong human beings I've ever met in my life. And you can also meet people that have completely different backgrounds, socioeconomic, religion, political backgrounds, and you can still, like, there's a common ground.
Mhm.
It's one area in the world where we are united against our own bodies, I guess. And it's just so beautiful. But what I found when I first started getting sick was that the places I could land to go and connect with people were like Facebook support groups or young adult
Mhm.
support groups. And they were great, but it just didn't scratch the itch that I wanted, which was this place that motivated people to want more than just being sick. I'd go to the Facebook support groups and it would be like, your life is going to fucking suck forever. Get used to it. Like this flare up will now be your new norm. And I
Yep.
didn't want to resign to that. And I had proof points through my entire life of being chronically ill that that wasn't true. If maybe that was your mindset, yes, that would be your truth. So I
Yeah.
wanted to create a space where I could, talk about some of these things that I felt like the chronic illness communities maybe were teaching new spoonies that
Mhm.
maybe weren't the best habits to start building into your life. And more so than that, too, I just really wanted to connect with people. And I wanted to find people that had similar mindset to me on how to live with chronic illness. And so when I first started thinking about it, being the type A person that I am, I was like, well, you know, I'm not gonna sit around and just wait. I'm just gonna start doing it, and then just launched it and started
Yeah.
working with it. And it's been one of the most fulfilling things I think I've ever done in my life. It's also incredibly cathartic. Solo podcast episodes, I was really scared to do at first. It is like free therapy where you have to look at yourself in the camera and confront whatever you're talking about. And uh, for some reason, that works for me. And so I feel like I've grown a lot from this podcast.
Retweet.
It's so good. And I think it's also like any chronic illness creator will agree with this. You
Mhm.
are transforming and transmuting pain into something greater
Yeah.
and leaving a mark that's helping somebody else. So it has like all of these different tentacles of goodness that it helps you with.
Oh, so good. So good. You're doing great work.
Thank you. So are you. I'm just really glad that there's a lot of people that are like out there yelling our stories from the rooftops, especially now that's like a candidly kind of a scary time to be chronically sick. So
Yeah.
more the merrier. I think not normalizing is the wrong word, but just making it more familiar with
Hmm.
people is really important.
Bringing as much awareness to all of these issues as possible is super, super important. And again, like, yeah, I definitely second that. One of the top reasons that I started this was really to like, well, yeah, work through kind of some of the things that I've like normalized in my brain about chronic illness. And it's been really fun, honestly, talking with other people and being like, yeah, like, why do I think that? Why do I like victim blame almost like myself in
Yes.
like, I should allow myself to have rest or I should, you know. I really loved your recent episode too, where you talk about like allowing yourself to like still have fun.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
I think it is too. And I think a lot of us, especially the ones that grew up being sick, we grew up with the mentality of like, if you're too sick for school or too sick for work, then you need to be at home and be sick that whole time. But that is not what dynamic illness looks like
No.
at
Yeah.
all. And that is a very hard thing to break up with. And like you, I think it's been one of the most refreshing and like revitalizing things to come to terms with
Yeah.
through this podcast, through content creating, through talking to other people is that we don't have to live a small life. Like life can be full and beautiful and have joy and love and happiness. It just has to look a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I know I've also started living in like these like little mini luxuries that I have in my day. I'm like, okay, what do I have available to me that I can just like take advantage of? Because I've
Yeah.
been feeling just another thing I've been struggling with recently is like being 27 and like feeling like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I need to be married right now and I need a house right now and I need kids right now and like all and but like in reality I'm not ready for those things. Like I want them, but I'm like not right now, but I feel like society is like telling me right now. So
Yes.
I've been really upset with like still living in an apartment. I'm like I want a house. So I wrote down like a list of like what does my apartment give me? Like we have a pool
Love this.
and we have a hot tub and I'm like oh,
Yes.
yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna go sit by the hot tub. I'm gonna go sit by the pool and like take advantage of that. Cause like when we own a house, we're probably not gonna have a pool with the house, like immediately.
No, you know what?
But
The grass is always greener. A house is
hmm
so much fucking work. I did
true.
not fully appreciate how much work it is. And now Cooper and I are at a point where we're like, do we just sell this damn thing and move back into a condo and like rent again? Because this is
Yeah,
a lot of spoons.
a lot of spoons. It is a lot of work. I know I'm house sitting for somebody right now, and I have to go over like 4 times a week to water their grass because they have an HOA. And
It is insane.
I was like, I didn't
Hmm.
realize it was like this. And I'm like, interesting, okay. Um, but anyways, yeah.
There's so
Oh,
many
the
things you have
point.
to clean too, which I had no idea you had to clean some of these things.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta clean the
But
gutters. You gotta do all that stuff.
apparently you
Like
have to get your HVAC clean. Just found that out.
so many things. I know. We have my dishwasher has been like not smelling very good recently, and I'm like my my boyfriend's like, "Oh yeah, I'll change the filter." I was like, mini luxury. We got maintenance for that." I'm like, "We have mini."
Hell yes. Oh,
Yeah.
lean into that.
I'm like, "We don't have to do that. Not
Mm,
yet. We will
not yet.
eventually." But anyways, just yeah, taking back some of the joy, whatever joys we can get. So, last question for you. What is bringing you joy right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think what's bringing me joy right now is for the very first time in my life, I feel very weird saying this because I feel like it's kind of selfish. I am taking sabbatical from finance world,
Hmm.
that career that I've had, and I am pouring it all into content creating, podcasting.
I love
I'm
that.
working on an app right now. I'm so excited to launch and like officially announce, but it's like for the chronic illness space built by a bunch of people with chronic illnesses. Um,
Love.
Social media meets community meets educational resources. And I've never given myself over to like just my own passions and like only what I want and my dreams and my goals. And so that is a huge joy to me right now. It's just like being able to chase my dreams. And like I feel very lucky that Cooper has an income because like I'm not making money right now. Thank God we have like the opportunity and the ability to do that right now. But it
Yeah,
feels really, really good that like he's supporting me to do that. I get to just be right now
yeah,
and
yeah.
not
Focus
be
on you, what you
stressed.
want. I love
Yeah.
that. That is, I just want to tell you that that is not selfish. You're not selfish for doing that at all. I love that for you. I'm so happy that you have the opportunity to do that, and I'm so excited for your app to come out. We'll definitely use it.
I have to see all about it. I will fill you in on it later.
Yeah, I'm super excited. That is so cool. That's amazing. And not selfish at all. You should, this is your life. You should be
Oh,
selfish. You
I'm breaking up with my people pleasing ways.
know?
I'm actively in trauma therapy for the first time in my life right now. And it's been very helpful realizing I, you know, am someone who
Mhm.
puts other things first and myself last way too often. And
Same.
coming to terms with the fact that it's not selfish and it's okay to put ourselves first and not just health wise. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good at saying no to hangouts and whatnot, putting my health first, but like having a chronic illness and still wanting to chase your dreams,
Hmm.
to me, that like extra little bit feels like, oh gosh, am I stealing from a different cup? Am I taking away from something else?
Yeah.
But coming to terms with the fact that like I'm not, and like it's okay, and everything else will resettle and figure itself out and work itself out.
Yeah, it definitely will. Everything, there's like time and place for everything. And I don't know. I feel like I have always been the type of person that like I want to do everything and I want to like do it right now. And I've been trying to like come to terms with that too, that like things will happen in the way that they're supposed to
Supposed
happen.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And like one thing that's really helped me right now with that exact thing is
mhm.
the process of you'll never have this time ever again. Like right now that we're living in,
Yeah.
getting to go to the pool, getting to
Yeah.
go hang out in a workout facility in your apartment building or whatever. Like you never get that again. One day in the future, there's going to be an HVAC to clean or kids to take care of or whatever the hell life will throw at you. And so giving yourself over to the now, I think is really important and something that I'm focused on for right now.
Beautiful, as you should, and so should everyone else listening. I wish that we could come up with like a different word for selfish because it has like a negative connotation to it, but I don't think that it should be. Like,
Agreed. We do need a different term for it.
yeah. Mm,
Self-forward,
yeah.
self-love, self
Yeah, I like self-love. Yeah.
self-love,
Give
right?
yourself self-love today. And
Yeah.
just that's something that I also I've been posting about it a little bit on social media, but I've been like journaling hardcore about it for like the last month and really like working through it in therapy, but just like allowing myself to like pick what I want to do and not think about anything else. Like that is been really, really, really hard for me. Like even with like my partner, I subconsciously will like think about what he wants and I'm like,
Yep.
should I do that? And then, but like he wants me to do what I want to do.
Yes, he does.
So it's just hard. But
I think there's a lot of like layers there with chronic illness and feeling like a burden.
Mhm.
Like if we ask for too much, do
Yeah,
people go away? Do opportunities go away? So I think it's just coming to terms with the fact that like maybe we can have it all. It just has to look different than what it all looks
yeah,
like or what it
yeah.
has looked like historically for us.
As simple as like, what do I want for lunch today? The past, I'd be like, oh, well, what do I want for lunch today? Like, oh, we have leftovers. I should eat the leftovers. No, I'm like, I want a wrap. I'm gonna buy a wrap. Like
Hell
that.
yes,
I have
girl.
the money to buy a wrap. Whatever. So it's so simple, but like though even the people pleasing is hard. It's a hard thing to get over.
It's
But
like did you ever watch Big Mouth on Netflix?
yes,
You know how
yeah,
there's like the anxiety mosquito, the depression cat.
yeah,
Like, that's the chronic illness one, is the like people pleasing feeling like a burden.
yeah, absolutely.
This episode is sponsored by Get Spicy, my go-to heat patches for period pain, endo flares, and honestly just those days when cramps just won't leave me alone. These patches stick right where you need them, they get warm in minutes, and actually stay put. Plus, they're discreet enough to wear under clothes. Nobody knows that you're wearing them. I love keeping a few in my bag for on-the-go relief, and you can grab yours at getspicy.com and use my code Chronic Chronicles for a discount. Trust me, your cramps will thank you.
Okay, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on two different platforms. Alexandra Wildeson is my personal one. On that page on Instagram and TikTok, I make funny content. I make day in the life content. I try to familiarize people with what life looks like as someone who is a venture capitalist and a content creator and a podcaster and has a bunch of fucking chronic illnesses. And then I have a podcast called Calling in Sick. You can find it at Calling in Sick Pod, POD, and that's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and anywhere that you can listen to a podcast, and then app coming soon.
I will put where people can connect with you too in the show notes too, so they can just click over. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was so much fun. I absolutely love this. I'm so glad that we finally got to connect because I've been following you for a long time and just love how you share your soul and your life and all of your wisdom.
Right back at you. You're amazing. Killing it in the community.
That wraps up another episode of the Chronic Chronicles. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation with Alexandra as much as I did. If you want to hear more of her work, make sure to check out the Calling in Sick podcast. It's full of honest, unfiltered stories from the chronic illness community. You'll find all of her links in the show notes. And as always, thank you so much for tuning into the Chronic Chronicles. If this episode resonated with you, please follow, rate, review, all of the things. It's the best way to support the podcast and help more people find these conversations. Also, I did want to let you know that I officially launched my first YouTube vlog. It was a day in the life it was a day in the life like following me on trying to complete all of my 75 Stronger habits, and also kind of a little bit of a behind the scenes of last week's solo recording. I would love if you guys went and checked that out. It's on YouTube at Lexi Halloran. My last name is Halloran, so Lexi, Lexy Halloran. And I'd love to hear what you think. YouTube is definitely not my strong suit, but I'm trying. Please let me know what you guys think about that vlog. Until next time, take care of yourself, rest when you need to, and remember, you are not alone in this.